Okay, it being 6 o'clock, I'm going to call the August 24th, 2026 regular meeting of the Ojai Valley Sanitary District Board of Directors to order. Let's see. A roll call, please, Allison.
Director Curtis.
Present.
Oh, thank you, Jack. Director Martinson.
Here.
Director Kintosh.
Here.
Director Berg.
Here.
Director Quillisi.
Here.
Director Reed. And Chair Ulrich.
Here. Okay, pledge of allegiance, would you stand? Ready, begin.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with justice for all.
Do we have any additions or amendments to the agenda?
No.
We have item number 5 is public concerns. Items not on the agenda, 3-minute limit. Opportunity for members of the public to speak on items that are not on the agenda. Do we have any cards?
I do. I have a speaker card from Fred Drennan. It wishes to speak on a previous agenda item that we had, which was a right-of-way contract for septic to sewer conversion for the Trustee Lane project.
Where is Mr. Trennan?
Right there. Very close.
You to step up to the lectern and
I get 3 minutes.
do.
Well, thank you for listening to me. I'm Fred Drennan. I'm the safety chair for the Golden Oaks Mobile Home Park on Rice Road. We have about 100 residences there. And during the Thomas fire, we couldn't get out of our park because Rice Road was blocked with gridlock with all the cars. And a lot of the people there don't have cars. They can't drive because of physical disabilities. And so we were pretty much trapped inside that park. Well, on Trustee Lane, what caught my eye was a couple of weeks ago in the paper, they were showing that you're getting a right of way through Trustee Lane to put a septic to sewer conversion. And during that fire, or about 2 weeks after that, 3 weeks, a neighbor lady went over to the property owner and asked if we could have to open that gate so we could get out on Trustee Lane. That, if some of you people may not know, but that was the road for the Girl Scout camp. That was where they used to camp. And that road was open to the public. And then they put this Girl Scout camp up on Sulphur Mountain Road. So 2 days after that, here's what it looked like. The property owner put a chain and a lock on the gate so we couldn't get out. And so several of the people in our park had their insurance canceled because of it's only one way in, one way out. And also, you may not know, but the fire department will not go in there if it jeopardizes their crews in one way, one way out. So the insurance company, so we're in a bind. We called the fire department. We had different people coming in trying to see if we can keep this gate open during a mandatory evacuation. And so I threw in the towel until I saw that you were getting a right of way. And I was hoping that maybe there was a way. I know it's pretty tricky. The legal counsel may not stand on it, but I would like to see if there's an endorsement rider that we could put on this right of way that you're requesting to allow your crews to get in there and work on the sewer line. I know a lot about what you do here. I was a safety consultant for several years. This is my program here. I worked with him when he started here. All your ADA job description, your confined space entry, your flagger certifications, I did all that. I was here for 2 or 3 years. So that's my spiel. I just see if there's a way to open up. And this is a good deed. I mean, we're trapped down in that street. There's only one way out, way in, but this is another way we could have an emergency exit during, a mandatory evacuation. We're not asking to have that totally open to the park residents and come and go, but we wish to have that be able to an opportunity during an emergency to get people together, because I have a minivan, I have a group of people I take out because they can't drive. And so it's a serious problem. And I'm hoping maybe you could help us. Thank you.
I have a couple of questions. Anyone else?
I do too. So go ahead.
Okay. First question is, are these photos taken from inside the park, looking
Inside Golden Oaks Mobile Home Park.
through to a gate? Actually, I have three questions. Whose gate is it? Put it in.
I'm assuming that that gate was put up by the property owners
Property owners on the other side,
on the other side.
ones who want to restrict your potential access to it. Okay, and then the third question is more of a generic, I guess, well, a general question, but I think it would lend a lot to a resolution of your issue, because that is not a good situation. You're right about the fire department. You're right about one way in, one way out, and everything else. That is there no feasibility anywhere in the park for a second egress point?
Well, the park owner inherited this land plus 2,000 other rentals. And so she's an absentee landlord. We try to contact her, told her what the situation is, that we can't get insurance from our homes. And she pretty much has done nothing. And then we went to the park management and got the same story. So we got blocked on our side of the fence, trying to get our property owner and management to open up this gate so we have an emergency exit. And then also, well, you see it from the pictures, he put a chain and a lock on there, which is,
No, I understand that. But I'm asking, is there, you got a wall that goes around the park, right? Or at least on the
chain link
roadside.
right on the land conservancy.
Right, but you still have frontage on a public road.
The only access is Rice Road.
And the park extends from corner point to another corner point on Rice Road.
Correct. We have on,
So are there no other, and you've got, and that area is a wall, block wall, isn't it?
no, chain link fence.
Chain link fence on the outside, on the Rice Road side of the park?
Oh, I see what you said. There's a cinder block wall on Rice Road.
Yeah.
And chain link fence between El Sereno Mobile Home Park and this property you're looking at. And then
I'm only talking about access from the park to Rice Road.
correct.
Have you looked into if there's no potentiality of making a penetration, making an opening in that wall between units or what have you, to achieve a second point of ingress?
That's a good question. No, there is not. All the homes are up against that wall, all on Rice Road with the cinder block wall. It's wall-to-wall homes. It's a mobile home, all crammed together.
Sometimes you got to think about large and painful considerations, and that would mean in order to provide them, because asking for someone, typically speaking, an egress point is usually not really a good idea, because it could get closed at any time.
Yeah.
Having one on the Rice Road may necessitate someone removal one of the units.
Yeah, that would be the only option. If somebody would have
Worst
to.
case scenario,
Relocating one of these.
yeah, if there's space, but a lot, I'm looking at it from a worst case scenario. I think that's going to be, you can discuss this later with the general manager, but I got to say, from my perspective and what little bit I know about some of these subject areas, your insurance companies aren't going to recognize any second point of egress that's not to a public road.
And not under your control.
Yes.
Right. Well, that makes sense.
And I think that's where the focus should go, and see if there's any space for, if one of the units need to get relocated, if there's space within the park to relocate it. And, you may, if your landlord isn't really responsive, you might wind up, having to get some kind of an advocate of one sort or another to represent you. Because how many folks live there? 100?
Hundreds.
a lot of folks that get choked up in a one situation that where the
Yeah.
fire department won't come in because there's only one.
Our
person.
council,
Yeah.
Ventura Regional, we had, Chris Dance with
Yeah.
the local. I had many people look at this. We just
Yeah.
keep running into this dead end.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
sometimes you have to take it upon yourself to use what you got and just make it work rather than look at, because I don't, in any case, that's all I have. Lowell?
Even if we don't have an easement through this gate, do we?
Not through the gate.
What's the
And
right
even
of
if we
way?
did, they can still close the gate over an easement.
We don't have anything there at all right now. I mean, the trustee lane is unsewered, so this is part of the concept of the future septic to sewer if it were to go through.
And typically speaking, the easement's only 6 feet or 8 feet wide.
They vary.
Yeah.
Some are 10, there's probably some old 6s, and some are, my preference is that we're at 12 feet wide. Is that way you have room to work, not on your easement and get past yourself.
For it to be recognized by the fire department, Ventura County Fire, as a egress, but more importantly, as a second point of egress for equipment so that they don't get trapped.
12 feet won't do it.
20 feet minimum.
Yeah, I think it was 12 wide and 18 feet tall.
And also, the road surface has to be able to carry 20,000 pounds per axle.
Right.
So that usually includes calling a second point of egress a dirt road. But if it gets wet, so there's a lot of complexity to the subject, and like I said, figuring out a place in your existing wall to generate a new egress is probably the most direct manner. It has its own complexities. I'm not, much selling that short, I don't think. Does anyone else have any questions or comments? All right.
Okay, well, thank you very much. I
Thank you.
appreciate that, and happy retirement.
Right.
Thanks again for your.
Okay, no one else. Okay, as far as the public is concerned, okay. We have consent items 6 and 7. Approval of minutes of the July 27, 2026 meeting and review of disbursements and checks for the period of July 21 to August 18. So one motion, actually in a second. I'm asking for that unless there's any conversation or
Approval of
discussion.
6 and 7.
All right, do I have a second? Discussion. Discussion, okay. In that case, roll call, please.
Director Curtis,
Yeah.
Director Martinson,
Yes.
Director Kintosh,
Yes.
Director Bird,
Yes.
Director Pelosi,
Yes.
Director Reed, Chair Ulrich.
Yes. Okay, public hearing items, vote, item number 8. Public hearing for administrative appeal to the Board of Directors pursuant to OVSD Code of Regulations, Section 917 et sec.
Chair Ulrich, if I could just jump in here real quick.
Absolutely.
We have 2 public hearings on appeals from the general manager's decisions, appeals to the full board of directors. So pursuant to state law, we're going to have 2 counsel here to avoid any conflict. Megan Rayburn, who's there with you, will be advising the general manager, and I will be acting to advise the board as necessary.
All right. In that case, I guess we're all ready to open that public hearing. Okay. Time is 6:14. And I'm going to say that's the opening of this public hearing specific to this appeal. And we'll start with the appellant's opening statement and presentation of relief request. Is the appellant here?
Yes, that's me.
Okay, all right, very good. In that case, being front and center, at least of the screen, you are. So, would you state your name and lead?
Hi, I'm Alice Parsons, and I'm here to represent the Gables with regards to our request to approve 10-year interest-free payments for the revised capacity units charges that we have been discussing with uh, the Ojai Valley Sanitation District since May. I know you all received my letter, but I'll go through it again. So just to make sure that everyone has it. So first, thanks very much for this opportunity. Scott's been particularly patient dealing with his systems and regulations and our lack of knowledge and lack of experience with this matter, this type of matter. We do a great job at assisted living, but capacity units was new language for us. So I thought I'd start with a little bit of history. Gables, as all of you know, has been in continuous business and an important part of the Ojai community since 1954, when it was founded as the National Teachers Association or Retired Teachers Association, and later becoming AARP. During that period, 702 North Montgomery was first the administrative offices for NRTA and then the headquarters for AARP. Then in 1984, NRTA AARP moved to Washington, D.C., and the building was converted to residential units, each 16 units, each with a bathroom, including a commode and a sink, and then showers being in a central location. And just as a point of information, both the original building was constructed and the conversion were built with or renovated with the benefit of building permits. I'll come back to that at the end. At the end of May, we received notice that the designation of our property as residential was incorrect, and that instead we were a commercial property for the purposes of determining how many capacity units were required for us. The notification, we don't have a mailbox at 702. There's never been a mailbox at 702, but the postman took it upon himself to bring it over to 701 North Montgomery and give us this notice. And at first, because it didn't come certified or any special way, it just was a demand, essentially telling us why, and then a demand for payment. We thought this might be a scam because it didn't seem quite right. So anyway, it sorted itself out, and we learned that it was real and that we should follow what it said. So we began the process of our meetings with Scott. We appealed the decision, and it was determined based on the evidence that our counsel presented that the charges were correct. And although we respect that decision and will comply with it, we continue to wonder how a property that we've owned for 25 years and have had no change of use, and with all the construction that has been permitted, how we could have such a significant classification change. So it seems to us someone along the way made in the governmental agencies, and I'm not pointing fingers, but someone along the way made a pretty big mistake, and we just think that should be considered. So our request is 10-year financing, no interest. Scott suggested 5, and a 5-year no interest roughly is an $800 a month payment. If you were to give us the benefit of 10-year no interest financing, that would bring that amount down to $400 a month, and that would help us significantly manage this sudden and unforeseen financial obligation. The reasons why we're requesting this is that the changes were sudden and not anticipated in our business picture. We continue to regain ground post-COVID, as hard as that is to imagine. During COVID, we weren't able to rent units, market units, because of the restrictions of contact with people. So our census was reduced significantly, and we are almost back to where we were pre-COVID. We have a strong standing in the community. It's not like we're a new business and have a financial obligation to you. We've been in the community since 1954, and us as owners since for the last 24 years, 25 years. So it's not like we're going to go anywhere. You will have no additional costs capital-wise. We, in the sense that if we were a new permit, a new building permit, or a change of use, you could have capital costs, but you're not going to, because you've been servicing our account since 1954, and with the current usage since 1984. So it's not, you will incur no additional costs. You're just merely correcting a mistake that was made a long time ago. The increased payment will limit our ability to continue to make capital improvements on a really old building that constantly needs work and upkeep. And we'd like you to consider that the reduction of payment will help mitigate the impact on our ability to serve the elders of Ojai as we continue down this road. So we respectfully ask that you consider this and offer us the 10-year at no interest financing if it's at all possible. And we really respect your decision, and just ask for this generosity.
Very good. It's General Manager's opening statement and response to
Yeah, I want to begin with thanking the Parsons and the Gables staff. They were very responsive once they realized that it wasn't a mailing snafu or a scam, and they have been working with us to get to the issue and remedy this issue. So I do want to thank them for that. Ms. Parsons' summary is correct. I also want to reiterate the uniqueness of the situation and the special circumstances. They have been a customer for decades and decades and decades. I do agree that there was a lapse at some level in the government, and because of that, I have vowed to help facilitate reasonable accommodations for the Gables to work out a payment plan. Along those lines, I don't have the authority as the GM in this instance to offer anything other than a suggestion. The code is very specific, and that section 1010 of the OVSD code stipulates that if it is any more than 2 capacity units, it's the board's sole discretion to move forward. So whether or not it is my example of 0% or 0% for 5 years. I think I also had 10% or 10 years at 5% interest, and 15 years at 7% interest. All of those are merely examples that have to go to the board for the board's consideration. With that being said, I take no exceptions to the options that I presented, and it's your discretion to heed what you think on her request for relief, Mrs. Parsons' request for relief.
Good. In that case, rebuttal of appellant.
No, I'd like to reiterate what Scott has said. He's been just a professional 100% and a pleasure to work with, and certainly fair in all regards.
Very good. So very good rebuttal. Thank you. Yeah. So you have a sir rebuttal?
I do not.
Left that on the table like it was as well. Okay, so then questions or inquiry of board of directors to both appellant and general manager. And to direct questions, gentlemen, who's first?
Scott. There seems to be an issue around 2 that I can see. One, is this residential use? Is it commercial use? So my question is, it seems to be no different than an apartment complex, really. And so when a new complex is built, how do we charge them for those capacity units? The individual apartment owners don't pay it. would assume the building owner, complex owner does all that.
So this is slightly different than a apartment complex. The difference being is none of these units have a dedicated kitchen. So they use a communal kitchen, they have a sleeping, they have a commode, they have communal kitchen, they have communal, and correct me if I'm wrong in anything, but my understanding is they have a communal kitchen, they have communal dining area, they have communal living area. There are some communal restrooms, or at least one communal restroom. So it is different than an apartment in that in an apartment, you would have an individual kitchen. And per our code is the kitchen starts to facilitate its own standalone requirement for a residential unit.
Can I just add one other item is that that 702 address, we don't pair any food there. The kitchen is literally across the street at the main campus, and then we cart all the food over. So it's more of a symbolic kitchen that feels homey than it's actually prepared.
So we can't call it residential. It is therefore commercial, right?
Correct.
So the terms that you've suggested, 5 years, 0, 10 years, 5, 15 years, 7. Those are standard for what we offered. Everybody has that option to us.
Correct. Those are standard for up to 2 CUs for a residential conversion. If you wanted to get 2 ADUs on your premises, those terms, the 5 years, 0%, 10 year at 5%, and 15 at 7% would be standard up to 2 CUs. More than 2 CUs requires board consideration.
So
Yes, so to answer your question, yes, it is in concert with what.
what I'm struggling with, the fact that this noticed by us and everybody else for almost 40 years is disturbing, because we learned the other day that people are building things and not knowing what they are. So this one's gone on for 40 years. So my problem with it is my observation that, everybody in this valley has some form of economic hardship when we impose these fees. So I don't feel that we use a board and make sweetheart deals, regardless of who it is. How much benefit there is to the community or not. I mean, we have to be fair to everybody. Rules have to be standard for everybody. Otherwise, every single person could come in, and we just saw several few days ago that could come in and make the same claims, give us 10 years at interest free. What's the difference between them and none? So, well, I think the district bears some responsibility in not having identified this almost 40 years. It also means they've had the benefit of more than 10 years of interest free already since. So anyway, my position is that we can't make sweetheart deals like this. And we have to offer the terms that we offer everybody else.
Maybe we're supposed to be asking questions now.
We're asking clarification questions right now, not deliberating.
Okay. I'm ahead of you. I don't know what.
Okay. Any questions? Any other questions? Any comments that sound more like?
Like to. Since I'm familiar with planning and land use and such from my former experience in the city, I took it upon myself when this first came onto our agenda to go to City Hall and look at the records. I found, first of all,
Poor man.
it's a tough job. And if you have trouble sleeping, just go look at some planning records. This particular parcel has been over the years, at least up through 1984, 85. I couldn't find a record of when it was actually built. It's been variously referred to as 702 North Montgomery, 402 through 406 East Grand, and 402 through 408 East Grand. All of those nomenclatures have been applied in city council resolutions and various other places within the city. Problem that I see here is that the city has not been communicating with the district. That's the first problem. I did note that there was a change of use. There was a conditional use permit issued by the city in 1984, which said that, and it referred to 402, 406 Grand Avenue, but it approved use of this facility as, quote, non-ambulatory care facility, which first tells me it was something before. It was different from that
Because of the CUP.
because of the CUP. It appears because it was changed to a care facility and the appellant has, what was it?
Description. Yes.
I could not find a description of the property before that. It was, the appellant's description was that it was administrative office.
Corrected his offices.
And I have not been able to establish when the administrative offices were actually constructed, but they were clearly changing that use to its current use in 1984. And in fact, saw plans dated November of 84 that expanded the building to its current about 7,500 square feet and about 24 beds. But whether it was administrative offices or something else, I'm not sure. It had not been a residential facility for that CUP. I don't know what it was. The appellant said administrative offices. But the city council resolutions, by the way, was 84-4. You can find that on the city website. And the conditional use permit was 84-5. That was dated in September of 84. Referred to it as 402, 406. There was a certificate of occupancy issued in 1986. So it evidently took some time to expand the building to its current configuration. But it was something else earlier, and it didn't sound like residential. So when the opening salvo here, it sounded like the appellant's attorney was asking to have reassessed as residential property. And I think at least the record from the city is that at least since 1984, it has not been residential property. Not clear what it was before that. And it's a failing on the part of the district and a failing on the part of the city to have everybody synchronized as to what was really built there and what it was for. And I could not find earlier drawings or plans prior to 1984. I would take deliberating too. But I do have a question for Scott. You mentioned 0% for 5 years, 5 for 10, and 7-15. Are those terms that are typically offered to commercial customers, or is it strictly for, we'll call it small 1 or 2 CU residential customers?
I don't know that we have offered that for any commercial historically.
Generally, our commercial customers go on their own payment plan that is a shorter duration, and it usually has to do with budgetary considerations. So for example, We have commercial customers who have quite a bit of fluctuation and have to periodically purchase a capacity unit at reinspection every 3 years. And they will ask us, hey, can we do it in 3 payments? And we'll do them for the 3 payments. And it's usually more expeditious than these particular terms. One of the reasons is that they want to benefit from an adjustment downward needed, and they cannot be adjusted downward for capacity they do not own. And so most people do not want to actually hang themselves up on a payment plan, because if they actually have a change of use that is beneficial to them, they unfortunately must own the capacity for us to take it away.
And if they're still on a payment plan, they don't own it yet.
That's correct.
Yeah, okay. Understand that, but have we ever offered 0% 5 years, or 5 for 10 or 7 for 15
Sure.
to a commercial customer?
They would ask, they are allowed to do this under the district code of regulations. Just generally speaking, that's.
That's for any customer then.
That's correct.
Just want to say, this is on page 43 of the packet, by the way. Paragraph 2, it says that the organization had approval, quote, approval from all the appropriate agencies. This, we're talking 1984, prior to the establishment of OVSD. So I'm not sure if it was the city of Ojai sanitary district at the time, or maybe that was post merger with Miners Oaks sanitary district. I'm not sure. But
In city.
would have been the city. So that was up 4-1 was all in 1985. Anyway, apparently no one said anything about sewer service at that time, or required serve letters, or said you can't build it without getting. So there was at least one appropriate agency that was apparently not consulted.
Which agency was that?
Whoever was the sanitary service agency in 1984,
The city of Ojai.
city of Ojai. Okay,
And
fine.
and it's my understanding, and maybe this is only anecdotal, that their record keeping consisted of, for sewer purposes, sewage purposes, consisted of 3x5 cards. Maybe there were 4x6. 4x6 cards in shoe boxes.
Well, I didn't see any of those.
Did I
saw-
exaggerate? Okay.
That's true. You're correct.
Also, the appellant stated they have made only minor interior renovations in the last 50 years. We're talking about 42 years, so having change of use and a major expansion of the building. So I just want to keep all the records straight on that. I think that's all the records I care to bring up at the moment. But you can go to the planning desk in City Hall, find everything that I've told you.
So currently, verify, currently the zoning is,
It looks like the zoning is the same as the zoning for the Gables. But I'm
Which
going
is-
by a 2008 zoning map
Okay.
too, so
right,
forgive me if that's wrong.
and what is that? So,
R2. The Gables is R2 multifamily.
So that narrative changes a bunch of things in my mind, or at least leads to a whole bunch of questions that need to be resolved. One is, let's say at 710 Montgomery, there was a house there in 1980. What fees were charged for that house to tie into the sewer connection? And later, when OVSD was formed, what charges did OVSD apply to that house? And if the answer is not, I don't see that we should be charging these people for something that happened in 1984 when there were no charges appropriate at that time. So is there any way for us to find out how that was handled back then? OVSD didn't exist till when? 85.
Charges were never none. I believe the city of Ojai, the last index card search that I did, I believe their fees were $200 per connection. connection. So I believe the lowest that I have seen sanitary district post consolidation, I believe was 800, and maybe a little bit better than I do. So I believe that those were the respective fees around that time of the agencies.
It just seems to me that how this should have been handled in 1984 or 85. These we're attempting to impose on these people are from 2016. So I think what we have to do, at least in my mind, I would wonder why we don't go back and see how all the houses in Ojai were dealt with whatever businesses there were in Ojai at that time, and just figure out what the fees were at that time. And those are the fees that in my mind would be appropriate.
I don't understand the relevancy of what fees were,
Well, like I said,
especially when those fees were administered by another agency that.
that's my point.
exists.
They're not owed to us, they're owed to Ojai. The City of Ojai didn't charge them for those connection fees at the time. That's their problem to recover. It's not ours. We weren't there.
Aren't we talking about it's been occurring well since 1984 and 1985?
Here's the thing. I was saying, all the houses in Ojai that were tied to a sewer being paid to, I guess, I don't know, the Ojai Sanitary District, whatever it was at that time.
Presume so.
And so all of those houses that existed when Ojai Valley Sanitation District came into existence didn't turn around and fork over 16,000 to us. Whatever the fee would have
Fees
been.
weren't 16,000 then either.
That's my other point.
Still not getting what's the relevance. Pre-existing fees and who collected them.
All of those pre-existing things, if we're gonna charge Gables for this, we need to go back and charge every single house in Ojai. And the
don't-
other thing-
We don't follow the logic, but you know, that's
So-
obviously you're entitled to that.
And so the other question we have,
Questioning.
Yeah, let's.
And-
question for
Because
Scott.
that is sort of a
Public
discussion.
Comment before we do
Let me
deliberate.
ask another question of Scott. It's, the fee schedule that we've arrived at is derived from our analysis of what those fees should be in 2016. So at some point,
That when the current limit was set.
that's when our current fees were set. So at some time prior to that, there was something other than that, presumably less. Sometime prior to that, there was something else, presumably less. You keep going back like that until you run into, guess what? We weren't charging because we didn't exist. Whatever fees existed at the time would have been paid to the Ojai City. And at this point, we don't know if the Gables actually paid Ojai City for their connections at that time.
I don't think we should care.
But
Again, we're deliberating. We should be trying to clarify the issues right now.
well, that is the issue in my mind. What existed at the time this was done in 1984, 85? You know, is it us that should be getting the fees, or is it Ojai City that should be getting those fees, whatever they should have been?
The monthly service charges, this property
That's a different issue.
since 1985 have been what? Those appropriate to a single family residence?
Correct. One CU.
Monthly service.
The monthly service fees have been for one CU. And just to confirm, we do know that the Gables purchased one CU presumably in 1985 or prior when they were at the city. And when it came to OVSD, there's record that the Gables owned one CU for that property. So that is not up for, that's not debated at this point. The question is the additional 3 CUs that we have based off of the recent fixture unit count. The question is how do they pay for that?
And if we go back to, let's see what the CUs would have cost if they had bought them timely, they would also have been paying monthly service charges on those 3 additional CUs since 1984 or 85.
That's correct.
We have a sense of what those numbers look like?
Kind of do. So we don't, we went back, Allison went back today, we took a look at it. We don't know how things were processed in the mid-80s or the 90s, but we do know from 2016 to present how things are processed. Those sewer service fees would amount to $24,000 and change, if I remember correctly.
I mean, and we can certainly go back further.
Since,
That as a 10-year.
It's 2016.
so we're still looking at 30 years. So we don't know what the monthly service charges would have been. But CUs should have been paid for in 1985 or 84 or whatever. And those monthly service fees should have been paid for since that same time.
Correct.
Okay, and you said it's 24,000 just in the last 10 years,
Correct.
the three CUs,
Yes.
our service charge on three CUs.
Yes.
So for 30 years before that, assuming the numbers were smaller, there's 3 times as much time elapsed. We talking a comparable number to the 48,000?
Really very, very close.
So all that is money that the district is saying, we're going to write that off as goodwill, basically. But pay for current CUs, or if we do a little arithmetic and a little research as to historical numbers, we might come up with a relatively similar number, assuming everything was done timely 42 years ago.
That's a reasonable statement, yes.
So either way, 48,000 is roughly what's due. You could buy the CUs back then and pay for them every month, or buy them now and pay for them moving forward. I think that's the arithmetic we're talking about.
Rationalization around the arithmetic. I think we'd have to, Dennis or Megan, who's the attorney for us on this issue? Dennis. Dennis, since this was not done properly, apparently since 1985, 84, is there a statute of limitations as to how far back we can go and demand payment if we wanted to, or, monthly service fees?
Yeah, we would be limited probably, I believe the statute would be 3 years, be the outside time that you can go back.
And so that would apply to the monthly service fees. Would that also apply to any capacitor unit charges that we might?
Sorry, I couldn't hear the last part. Would that also apply to what?
There's 2 questions. One is the monthly service fees that normally would have been paid had the capacity units been paid for and identified. So does the 3 years apply to the capacity unit initial fee in addition to the monthly service, or just one of the 2?
Yeah, it would just apply to the monthly service fees. The capacity charge could still be, remedied now, because it's an ongoing situation.
Second question, remedied now. At the time that these need for these capacity units was installed was 1985. So does remedied now mean remedied at the cost they would have been at the time in 1985, or remedied now at the cost that we're charging in 2026?
It would be the latter, the current charge.
I don't understand why. Is there a reason why?
Because we're bringing them up to speed and bringing them into line with the current applicants. We're treating them on the same level. to use the connection charges from, 40 years ago just wouldn't be applicable in my mind.
Even though that's when the connection was made.
Yeah.
And even though the district didn't identify the issue at the time. And we don't know if the city did or not, so. So if it turns out the city actually charged them for those connection fees at the time, and we just don't have a record of it,
Charged them for 4, you mean?
whatever it was at the time. Is that something we should research before we make a final determination on this or not?
Yeah, and I don't know if we'll be able to uncover that.
Carolina? Yeah. We know that they only own one. We know that for a fact. The city, whoever started it, the Gables own one capacity unit, 702 Montgomery. So the speculation about the 3 does not exist. We know that they only own one. They did not purchase 3 back then. We know that they did not purchase 3. They purchased 1 because we've looked at the 3x5
We have
cards.
all of the 3x5 cards from all of the agencies in which we consolidated with, and that is how we built our customer database, is off of historic records.
So I overstated it when I said 4x6 card.
They are. And they're in shoebox-ish things, but yes, every single one of those was used to create the customer account database system.
We're deliberating that. I really can't believe we're trying to go back to 1984, like money from these customers. Cut through the chase. That's what I think we should do. I think we should take Dennis's advice, back 3 years for the monthly fees. Go back 3 years, grandfather them in. The 3 ADUs, just assume that over the 44 years, they paid enough into the system. On 3 capacity units, or is it 3 or 4, however many? They have one for one from another neighboring facility, and then buy 2 more. They needed 4, I think. I would grandfather them in with 4, and charge them 3 months of monthly fees, 3 years of monthly fees, and be done with it.
Good question.
Go ahead.
We still have not finished teaching staff, then getting public comment,
Exactly.
and then deliberating the issues.
Sorry, I thought we were.
And we really need to do that.
I believe that Appellant also had her hand up, but she was muted. If you'd like to.
Yes.
You're still muted.
Good. Try again.
Just as a point of information, and correct me if I'm wrong, Scott, we have excess capacity units at 701 North Montgomery. 701 North Montgomery. We have 1 excess capacity unit.
Yes, Ms. Parsons is correct. So
31 versus 30.
Yeah, they have 1 extra over there, and so if you were to dive back into the original letters that came out, we were talking about a total of $64,000 in change. But the Gables had asked to transfer 1 unit from 701 over to 702, and I think that there's no problem with that. That's perfectly fine. And so the end result is that they need to purchase 3 capacity units.
Answered the question?
Oh, I'm confused on the number. If there's 1 already at 702, and we say 702 needs 4,
5.
it needs 5, okay. That cleared that up.
Confusion goes a long way. Okay, any other questions? All right.
I guess I still have a general question. This thing our district didn't exist before 85. This retired guy here knows all about our past.
No, he doesn't go back to 85.
I'm gonna go to 93.
then I should ignore what you said.
Good.
And so the question I'm having is, if our district didn't exist at the time this place was built, converted for non-ambulatory care. I don't understand how all the other homes, businesses in Ojai were treated relative to being charged the same 16,000 or whatever it was at the time when this district was created. Is it true, or is it fact that when this district was created, every single business, every single house in Ojai had to pay us based on capacity units to join the system? Do we know that? And if they weren't, why does this person get so lucky as to have to be charged to join? They existed at that same time and prior, if they go back to 54, but this is all tying back to something that happened to me in my retirement. I was given a whole packet of stuff. The provisions was that I could, there's no provision about getting a lump sum retirement. I didn't do anything about it. 5 years later, when I won it, they said, well, you had a packet full of stuff and you signed it. There was nothing in there about that. I was not given notice. So what they did was go back to what Jim just suggested, go back to the time that I should have gotten notice and received that amount that would have been due on those at that time. But in this case, it seems they should have been given notice to connect to the sewer system, pay whatever fees were applicable at the time, and they weren't given notice to do that. Not for 42 years. Well, I don't understand how we treated every other business and home in Ojai at that time. The Ojai Valley Sanitary District was created. And it seems to me that we should be consistent with how all the others were treated at the time. I don't know if the appellant has any record of them having paid eviction fees in their records, whether it's on our 3x5 cards or not. Just, I don't know. There's a lot of history here that seems to be missing.
That we have, though, show paying for one capacity unit, that property,
Correct,
since 1985 at least.
correct. Our records show that they,
Prior
that
to.
prior to 1985, that property came to OVSD with purchasing one capacity unit.
Purchased.
Correct, having purchased one capacity unit. Yeah, to me, that asking about the, the question of fairness, if I may. If we had any other commercial property that decided to add on fixture unit counts to them, and they were permitted through the city, and the city didn't let us know, and we came across it in our typical fixture unit commercial counts, which we do periodically, and we saw that, hey, this other one has more fixture unit counts. We're going to go to them and say, you need to purchase your extra CUs to take care of your additional fixture unit counts. That is the standard practice that the district has right now. So if you only owned one, and you did a construction project and the city didn't notify us, and we found out at your next periodic commercial inspection that you had done an improvement that had more fixture unit counts and required the purchase, we would come to that applicant and say, or that permittee and say, it's your responsibility to purchase units in correlation with our code.
That makes good sense if you have a short time frame. We're talking about a 42-year time frame. You're kind of stretching the limits of eligibility. Personally, I would be with it. And if you go back to 1904, who knows what you'd find? For your access to all the information you might find at some point had already been paid. And you just don't know that.
I thought we were told we did know that.
We do know it.
We know that one was purchased in 85.
Only one.
So do we know the amount of that purchase price?
The city of Ohio would have been about $200.
It's not on our little
Next,
2.5 by 3 inch card or whatever.
I mean, average purchase was $200. I'd have to pull that exact card and look at it again, but that I just recently looked at a couple of them and that's what they're.
And that's the other problem I have is, $200 versus 16,000 is huge difference. That's just, to me, that's, we could say, you know what? They just did their conversion today. Next month, we're going to raise our rate by a factor of 3. So we'll just wait till next month and charge them. That's obviously a ridiculous example.
Okay, that's also not a question. So at this point, I'm going to close the public hearing, unless anybody's got any objection to that. And the time is comment. Okay. So I'm going to close the public hearing at 7:01. Now the board of directors commences, which we may have already gotten ahead of this, but deliberation of the relief request.
I'd like to make a comment.
Yes, go ahead, Jack.
If you're gonna go back to 1985 on the connection fee charges, we should go back on there and pick up our service charges for 30 years or whatever it is at the rates that they were at that time for the commercial building.
Which is another can of worms. So, okay, anybody? Deliberation?
I would suggest we, on our committee, this policy. Happens if somebody, someone says me a water bill. I owe it from 1970. And we should set some kind of a new policy. How far back we can go. I think going back 42 years is just extreme.
But we're not going back 42 years.
The policy that
That's
I think
before.
I've heard from the
Right,
general
right.
manager is if you have purchased, whenever you purchased them, last year or 42 years ago or whenever, you have purchased a certain number of capacity units, you've been paying on them, monthly service charges, and then district comes to understand the number of service capacity units that you should have and should have had all that time or whatever. Once that number is discovered, then starting today, you buy the additional capacity units, and starting today, you start paying monthly service charge on those additional capacity units. And what happened in the past doesn't matter. Does that seem fair?
I'm not going back 3 years to collect the monthly service fee. I think it's wrong to try and we should grandfather them in and say, okay, and that building for 42 years, people living in it, the same number of people that live in it today. But let them be grandfathered in 3 service units. That's what I'd like to.
I always have a problem with, correct me if I'm, 2 attorneys in this room? Okay, or at least, one on the screen and one in the room. Correct me if I'm wrong. Under state of California law, there is no such concept as grandfather. Practically, yes, that may be the case, but it's not a recognized element or component or action of law. Yes, no, maybe so?
No, I think that's accurate. It's not a, not a legal concept.
It's used a lot by a lot of folks, but the reality of it is there's nothing that's recognized at law.
Well,
A few cases that support things.
sometimes a statute will allow for grandfathering.
That actually use that term.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if they'll actually use that term, but the concept. But
Well, that's kind of what I'm addressing. It's an kind of an and to me, it kind of clouds what you're trying to do. If you're, as I understand you, Jim is saying, basically, notwithstanding the language that follows it, it would be just collect 3 years. And then
Yeah. And I would also remind the board that this is an appeal of the general manager's decision, which has been largely accepted by the appellant. The appellant is simply asking for
I'm
additional relief.
aware of that.
Yeah.
I'm aware of that. We're not really focusing at this point on what's been negotiated and agreed to as between the GM and the appellant. And talking about this is, I won't call it a unicorn, but it's an unusual situation because there's not a lot of commercial conversions being done in the city of Ojai, and hasn't been that I'm aware of in, for decades. So I think we just need to kind of confine to this issue. And there's 3 options. And if we want to have a fourth one, that obviously is within our purview. But the bigger issue at this point is I don't really see that this is a policy issue because I think that this is an exception to our typical situation. Is that an accurate statement? Am I accurate?
That is an accurate statement, yes.
So we kind of look as far as deliberations perspective.
We are being asked to decide on a particular issue. Both the district, the appellant, from what I've been able to read, agree that 48,000 or thereabouts is due. And the question is, do we let it go for 0 interest over 5 years, 10 years, which is what the appellant is asking? That's the question. Which of those do we do? That's the question before the board.
I'm glad you said that because you said it. I couldn't have said it better.
Judges aren't required to accept plea bargains that are approved by both by the plaintiff and the defendant.
Well, this fortunately is not a criminal matter.
No.
I would agree with
The point is, as Scott said early on, he provided 3 options. We can come up with a 4th.
yes. Yeah.
Personally, I think the idea of going back 3 years and collecting whatever monthly service fees have been due and payable at that time is appropriate. I think, like Jim, that the amount that they would pay for those capacity units should be tied to what they would have paid in 1985, which is kind of what you just said. You said just grandfather. I would not do that. I would just say charge them what was due at the time.
I don't think you can.
Why not?
They can always agree to whatever they want to. You're looking at 2 elements right here. One is the agreement. And with the one area that's not in agreement for congruence is 0% for 10 years. The amount is apparently agreed to. If you say, okay, statute of limits us to 3 years, that's a different figure. Okay, is that what you're saying?
We've been given the option of creating a 4th option. So yes, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, but let's.
You're tying us to the 3 that have been.
I'm okay with that, but you know what I mean? There's a point where, for the sake of intellectual, an intellectual exercise, we're getting a little out in the weeds, and I just like to keep things. Scott?
Yeah, I just for clarification, the intent of my option 3 was frankly, the $48,000 is due today. That it was, my intent of my option 3 was not to come up with a wholesale change of policy to OVSD code. It was we can, the appellate asked for relief of a 10 years, 0% interest. I have brought forward 3 prescribed methods that we already do. The third option is pay the $48,000 today.
Yeah, can I jump in real quick? So
You
The
too,
district-
yes.
the district's code of regulations includes 3 potential payment plans. It then also provides that under special circumstances, the board can come up with its own different payment plan, essentially. So that's kind of the other option that's before the board. If you don't want to go for the 3 payment plans that are enumerated, one of which I think is 0% at 5, another one for 10 or 7% for 15, I think. If you view this situation as unique enough and there's circumstances that are unusual and that you find compelling, you have the authority to grant a more lenient payment plan. And in my understanding, that's what the appellant is really requesting here. She's not contesting the decision. We're not redeciding the amount owed necessarily, but ruling on the appellant's request for a more lenient payment plan.
Very good. Thank you.
Can I ask a question?
Go ahead, Jim.
So Dennis, are we allowed, would we in theory be allowed to reduce the 48,000 to 24,000, for example? Or is that because it's already been decided by Scott, that's off limits?
Yeah, I think what's before the board is the request that the appellant has brought, which is for a 0% 10-year payment plan or some other plan that the board may opt to approve.
But in any case, with payments ultimately totaling 48,000 and change?
That's correct.
Anything, Randy? Go ahead. Director Berg.
I'm leaning towards option 2, which is what the general manager has proposed. On the other hand, this is a situation where the appellant invited the sanitary district to come out for whatever reason and discovered that there were a vast number of call it fixture counts not accounted for.
Your units, yes.
Fixture units, okay. So there is a difference between 10-year 0 and 10-year 5%. I would propose that we go to 2.5%, which is half of the 5, which is slightly less than the cost of living increase that we. And I propose that we consider 10-year 2.5%. Very small difference.
Okay, that's a motion. I'm going to take that as a motion. Is there a second?
We propose that, we approve it, they appeal it again. That happen? The answer is yes, right?
They can appeal a board decision to the board, or litigate it. That's what I thought.
This has been dragging on for 42 years. We need to give them the 10 years with 0.
Is that a motion?
Well, yeah.
That's a motion for option 1.
That's a motion for option 1. I have a second.
Second that.
Okay. Allison, please, roll call.
Director Curtis,
What?
10 years, 0 interest.
Second.
second for 10 years interest rate.
Option 1, in other words.
Option 1 at 2.5, right?
No,
No.
0.
0.
Jack, I'm
Option 1 is written.
doing roll call.
What are we voting on?
Option 1. Option 1. 10 years, 0 interest, $48,000.
10 years?
0 interest.
Okay. My vote is no.
Okay,
That's a gift of public funds. Your money will be worth quite a bit less in 10 years.
Mr. Kintosh,
Yes.
Mr. Berg,
Yes.
Quillisi,
Oh,
Mr. Reed,
Yes.
and Chair Ulrich.
yes. Okay. Yes, do we, okay, so having, we're going to be issuing a notice of decision within the time period outlined in section 917. And we will inform the property owner applicant of their rights under section 917.6. Any questions? The appellant? Okay. In that case, thank you so much.
I'll sign off now. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Right. Right, and then we're on page 4, item 9, public hearing for administrative of the Board of Directors pursuant to Ojai Valley Sanitary District Code of Regulations, section 917 et sec, concerning property at 215 North Enfield Avenue, Ojai. ATN number 017-0-071-240. Property owner Lyndon Rem. Is Mr. Rem here? Good. Okay. So we're going to hold a public hearing on the administrative appeal of the enforcement of Ojai Valley Sanitary District Ordinance number 82, capacity charges for a proposed accessory dwelling unit (ADU) in accordance with OVSD's Code of Regulations, section 917. Exhibit 10 in general and section 917.4 in particular as follows. I'm going to open the public hearing at 7:17 p.m. Appellant's opening statement and presentation of appeal. Appellant, would you like to step to the lectern and present us your opening statement and presentation of appeal?
Yeah, so Mr. Rem has asked that submission be submitted.
Oh, that's right. I remember reading that, but I thought you might want to.
Maybe Dennis can read, I don't know, or
Well, first, I think we need to ask Mr. Rem, is there any other accommodation you need for hearing? Can you hear okay? Okay, language, not,
No, hearing too.
okay. Is your hearing related to volume? If we speak louder, does it help? Okay. And if our pace is slower, does that help you as well? Okay, so the accommodation that you're requesting is to speak.
Simple words.
Sorry?
In a simple way.
Okay, so the accommodation that you're requesting is to speak with a loud volume, slow pace, and also simple as possible terms for language understanding. Is that correct? Okay, understood. And then I believe he also asked for hearing to be conducted in writing, his position. Is that correct, Scott?
correct. You have a copy of it, Megan?
Yes, I give it to you. This, is it this that you gave me? Okay. Okay. And Mr. Rem, would you like this whole thing to be read into the record? All pages?
Yeah. To the record?
What, would you like me to read what you provided the board?
It's already late.
Part of the administrative record in many.
That is correct.
House was it's burnt out. And I find out that the house burnt out can connect without fee. That's basically. We supported with the fire department.
record. Learn a lot of things. If your plan has only for you. Five. It's very simple. About 600 pounds. It's very small. So that's all.
Mr. Rem, this packet that you provided is going to be in the record, the administrative record for the board. Is there anything specifically in this packet you would like read aloud? Or are you okay with it just being included?
Okay, right, so, so noted then, the, packet of Mr. Rem, which is dated, signed and dated 8/24/26, which consists of, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 pages in total will be entered into the record. Okay, and then having said that, General Manager's opening statement in response to the appeal. Scott?
Thank you. So I want to begin with like clarifying a few things. One, Mr. Rem has two projects that he is conducting. One is at 215 North Ensenal, and that is a post-fire rebuild, which OVSD takes no exceptions to. He has a capacity unit that he already owns. It was associated with the original property that was there, and OVSD has no issues with 215 North Ensenal. His second project is 217 North Ensenal. 217 North Ensenal is a proposed new detached 160 square foot ADU with 11 fixture unit counts. That ADU requires permitting and sewer service connections and capacity charges in accordance with OVSD 82. For OVSD 82, section 301.4, I asked myself, is this exempt from capacity charges? For that to be, it would need to be one of the three things. One, is it an interior ADU? It is not. Two, is it an ADU created by connecting an existing structure? It is not. And is it a JADU? And the definition of a JADU is a 500 square foot maximum and contained entirely within a single family residence. And the answer is, it is not. Therefore, it does not meet the exemptions for OVSD 82-301.4. With that, I concurred with the administrative findings and assessed Mr. Rem proportional capacity charge for 301.4.c, and that is at 11/25 a single family residence. The reason we get to 11/25 is because there are 11 fixture unit counts for the ADU, and OVSD considers 25 fixture unit counts to be a single family residence. That's prescribed in OVSD 82. I also concurred with the administrative charge of $475 for the permit inspection and plan check fees. I incurred with the $987.12 for the sewer service fees that were prorated for the portion of July of 2026 through June of 2027. And what that is that is the prepayment of sewer service fees that cannot be retroactively applied to tax rolls. SD 82, we charge those up front.
Do we have then a rebuttal from the?
Anything that you want to respond to that was said?
Understand. He said that have 2 units. So one is okay because it's done. Second one, it's additional. Like I have to pay. Correct? That's what that.
Essentially correct.
I don't know the rule. It Connection fee is actually $3,000 for the new connection. There is connection. Exist. So I think that's two. One is a 20-feet container, another 40-feet container. The 20-feet container, $8,000. So much. It's only we're talking about for the fuel. I don't know if there is some rule. And I don't know. Up to you. I have a question for
Question?
General Manager. Can you restate the three choices you have when you have to classify an ADU?
Before you do, I just want to interrupt really quick. Mr. Rem, unless you speak up and say you can't hear or need someone to slow down, we're gonna assume you understand the pace, okay?
Oh, I will repeat if you say. I
Okay, if
understand.
you need someone to repeat something or speak
Yes,
louder,
absolutely.
raise your hand, okay?
You're on to F.
Oh, okay, all right.
Okay. Then there would be the sewer rebuttal from the general manager.
I appreciate Mr. Rem's perspective. I'm obliged to adhere to OVSD 82 and the district code and do my job of how it's prescribed.
Questions or inquiry by directors to both appellant and general manager? Questions?
Given what we heard from HCD or to Dennis, we have a general problem. Don't know how we're gonna, Scott, how are you gonna deal with these ADUs going forward? Given what we've now learned from HCD that we're not supposed to be charging these at all. And
Wait a minute.
coupled with
Wait-
that,
wait. I thought quite a bit about this after that last meeting.
you may have, but let me finish my question. Scott, when did you hear his appeal? What date? I didn't see that in the, right up here.
Or July,
June 15th.
Yeah. 15.
June 15th?
June 15th, yes.
So
I'm sorry, June 13th.
June 13th.
June 13th at 10 a.m.
That's the date that you met.
No, let's just to clarify, I did not meet with Mr. Rem on, he had a GM appeal. He submitted a written appeal. I was logged on to the computer. I gave him the opportunity and he, much like like at the beginning of this, he asked that it be considered in writing only. So his consideration was a written appeal.
So Dennis or Megan, I don't know who's representing the board on this one. Is that still Dennis? Dennis, given what we've heard from HCD, can we even make a final determination on this until we get some further clarification as to whether we can charge for these things at all?
My advice
read
is that until OVSD 82 is changed, that it's still in effect. And I guess, the question is whether Scott's decision complies with the statute as is. If OVSD 82's, the board decides to amend it, then we're going to have to deal with the ramifications for some of these charges that were already amended.
So at the last meeting, we talked about holding further charges for these kind of things in suspension. Question came up, did that have to be a full revision of the ordinance or could that be done by policy? And I think general implication I got was that we could do that by policy, although we've not made that policy yet. So I agree completely that Scott has done what he needed to do according to that, that code. It seems to me that our code is in question. So I'm just wondering if we should table this until such time as we either make a policy about it, change the code, or get some further guidance from HCD, more official nature rather than just an email. So what is your recommendation?
We could table this. That's up to the board's discretion.
Okay. Okay. Um,
Thank you. I have a couple of questions. The first, and I think I know the answer, but Mr. Rem could tell us for sure. Are the primary residence and the ADU connected through the same lateral? It is an indirect connection to our system, or does the ADU have its own separate connection to the sewer main line?
Just one line.
Okay, so this is an indirect connection. You connect to the lateral of the primary.
It's gonna be one connection to the city.
One connection,
one
okay.
connection, And to one connection, I will connect, you don't need to, there is a three big trees, so.
Okay, one connection, thank you. There, I saw on page 203 of the packet, there was an offer from Mr. Rem. He said, if you would charge me for 11 fixture units rather than 13.3 fixture units, then I would agree to pay that. Do we all have what page? 203. There was, I think the confusion there was that there are other reporting fees and such that changed the charge for the ADU from what it would be with just 11 fixture units to a higher number, regardless of the number of fixture units. I think there was some confusion there as to, there was a property related fees or recording fees or inspection fees that constituted the other equivalent 2.3 fixture units. Is that correct?
That's correct. The difference between the $8,512.59 is you're correct. It's the $475 permit inspection fee and plan check fee and the $987.12 sewer service fee for the prorated portion.
987 was
July of 26 to June 26.
service fees that couldn't go on to the tax rolls.
Yes.
But my understanding of what was on page 203 is that Mr. Rem agreed that if we assessed him for 11 fixture units rather than 13.3, we would agree to that. Did I misread the page?
It was a mistake. I meant. My mistake, they calculated 13.
Disregard any previous.
13, but
Okay.
actually, I have 10 view. Then correction to 9, I took out boundary from the units and I make boundary outside of the unit. So it's total right now 9. So I was blame Swedish that they ignored it was 10 VU, not 11, 10, and they calculated for 13. That why you do this? So I gave them plan for
First I gave him one DPU, they calculated 13. And I corrected, now it's 9 DPU. And
Okay.
according to his donation, if he wants to just ADU, to it's gonna be 4 DPU, 4 connections. It's not 13, not 11, not 10. So if he wants to charge me for one unit and accept another unit, another unit is done, file. So he should calculate for the fee.
Okay. Part of what I'm trying to understand here is of the total amount of money that's at issue right now, how much of it is agreed to and how much of it is not agreed to? I think the plan check fees and recording fees ever, and the monthly service charges for the fiscal year. It's my impression those are all agreed to. What's at issue and not agreed to is a capacity unit charge of any size for the ADU. Is that correct?
So have to pay for ADU.
I'm not your attorney, so I can't advise you as to
No, no, no,
the
no, no, no.
application of
I
everything.
want to understand what gentleman said.
Would you like him to repeat what he said in shorter
Just
sentences?
explain.
I'm not, I can explain it to you because I'm not your attorney, but what I can do is ask him to phrase the question using shorter sentences.
Okay.
And
Just like profound apology.
Oh,
definitions if you're using a technical term.
my grandfather took decades to learn English. He was Italian. Can't be any less easy for you, sir.
How does that explain the son?
Pardon me?
Does that explain the grandson?
I get handicap parking in 30 states for being half Italian.
We can't use the word grandfather.
I think there are 3 different pieces of here that are at issue. One is one-time charge for a capacity unit. That's some thousands of dollars. There is the monthly service charges for the ADU because you have another residential unit adding to the system. And then the third is the administrative charges for bringing the ADU into the system.
I think that's what
Just make a record.
That's a great idea.
right now, I'm showing him page 65 that shows the various charges that you're referencing. And they're in 2 tables. Maybe you could use that. Understand.
64.
About the issues. Guys, you insist on the connection. It already exists. Got some sketch, so we build more additional connections. And about capacity, I learned that capacity, if I exceed 25 DPU, I have to pay.
That's not the way the code reads.
I don't understand. And, you know what? Whatever you make decision, I will agree. I see that how it works. I developed full step to this, and
So it sounds to me like the monthly service charges for the ADU are also disputed. Is that correct?
Disagree with the connection fee that's being requested.
Again, this is completely, I don't know. I studied, so there is no connection. There is no new connection.
Understand that concept.
You disagree with the administrative fees that are being asked for you to
I
pay.
don't know what is this, but it sounds like I have to pay.
And then do you also disagree with the monthly service charges that you're being asked to pay?
What's I have to pay?
Disputing one time and the monthly charges. That's what I needed to know. Thank you for the clarification.
Okay. Anyone else?
Dennis? It's me again. Part of what I'm witnessing here is could be described as a negotiation sort of between Mr. Rem and the board and district manager. Which part these fees he agrees to, which part he doesn't. And as I wonder, because HCD has said we're not allowed to charge fees for this type of a connection, are we in effect negotiating in bad faith? And in his letter, part 5, he mentions the fact HCD does that those fees are unlawful. So I just wonder how it is we can negotiate like this when we've got a letter from HCD that says, you know, you can't charge this anyway.
Right. We've gotten HCD's opinion via an email to me. Again, that's not necessarily binding on the board, but is persuasive as state agency. I don't think you're negotiating in bad faith. I think the board is free to negotiate with Mr. Rem. So no, I don't think we've stepped out of line.
I have another question for Dennis. My understanding is that the issue with HCD at the moment is the imposition capacity unit charges, not the imposition monthly service charges on ADUs. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Um, My suggestion would be we continue this case.
Wait later.
Sorry, I'm sorry. I thought
We're done with questions. We can go
we're
into.
still questioning.
I've been
Sorry.
chastised. I like to return the
You got me?
favor.
Thought we had moved on from that. Yes. Right, so issues threefold. One is administrative charges. One is monthly service. One is one-time capacity unit charge.
Once again, the first one was administrative charges.
The administrative charge, plan check, et cetera, et cetera.
Okay.
Ellen does have a question. Go ahead. We don't? I apologize.
How dare you? That was the question?
Yes.
Did you get an
correct in
answer?
Yeah, I think so. Am I correct in saying there are three?
I have one
pieces?
of those too. One of those questions that I'm going to ask for confirmation on, just to make sure I understand. Actually, and I have 3 questions. One of them is, just to confirm, and this with Dennis, that's my understanding that, the language, and from the HCD, representative. I'm not quite sure what her title was. What was her title? Do you know, Dennis?
Not off the top of my head, it was Jamie Candelaria. She was in the ADU department. I can't recall her specific.
Kind of analyst or manager. Okay, good. Her, is it correct? Because I thought I heard you say that that was an opinion, her opinion, and there was nothing binding about it whatsoever.
She indicated that was HCD's opinion, not just hers. What we could do is request a more formal technical assistance letter from them or a more formal opinion, because as we've seen, they've kind of gone back and forth on some of these emails with me, from not having an opinion to now having one. I'm not sure. There's different levels that the HCD can take. They can issue technical assistance letters. They can issue essentially notices that you're in violation of something, and request us to cure things. So there's other higher levels that they have not gone to yet, which we may want. It may be wise for us to query with them whether they're going to do that or ask them to do that if that's indeed their position.
Well, okay, from my perspective, perhaps more familiar with this than I, but having seen a few HCD opinion letters, I'm used to seeing the ones that count, ones that address matters of significant funds, money, in other words, as in fees, are usually come from a different department, if not an attorney. Because that's effectively what we're being asked to do, is address our policy, potentially change an ordinance. And that, to me, that letter was not persuasive to that extent.
Yeah.
So I would like to see whatever it takes. If it's a good technical question, if it needs to be specifically said, we'd like a legal opinion. Okay, then they can, of course, defer from doing that. But the reality of the situation is, I think it needs to be communicated to them that her response was in bit of conflict, a significant change from previous policy positions as between HCD and OVSD. Number one. Number two, we'd like confirmation of that. If that is in fact not only policy, but HCD as a department of the state of California's interpretation of current state law. Because opinions we don't want to have the administrators making policy any more than they already do. Usually the policy is supposed to be in the legislature, or the purview of the legislature. Number three, and I'll shift away from you, Dennis, because I think you know what I'm saying. Is that Jack? Number three, I only see the one address on this, 215 North. And I understand I've seen 217 kind of come in and go, but that's the unconstructed new 160 square foot ADU. Is that correct?
217 is the 260 square foot ADU. 215 is the existing parcel address.
That's the address of the new primary residence.
215 is the proposed primary residence. It's currently a vacant lot.
Okay, so
It's a vacant lot after the fire.
Nothing on the property.
Correct.
okay, right.
Nothing on the property, and that's what, yeah, so there's really two concerns, and that may be where the 5 fixture unit count discrepancy is being raised, is perhaps Mr. Rem is making that the 25 greatest fixture unit counts are both the primary residence and the ADU. That is not how OVSD code reads. OVSD code reads that they're separate.
Cindy.
Jack, yes?
On for his nurse.
Jack,
You want to speak, Jack, or can you hear me?
Oh, I muted the thing.
Oh, yeah. Well, it didn't mute well enough. Okay.
Dennis?
Yes.
Reiterate what Bill was saying. We got a letter from HCD, from Candelaria, to this district. But her statement of policy, as it was, applies to every district in the state. As you know, several districts are charging these ADUs the same way we are, others are not. So she and the HCD need to make that as I was saying, a statewide policy all sanitary districts can honor, abide by. Having just an email to this one district is insufficient. The code, we need to reiterate that to her because we may be stepping out doing a whole bunch of stuff that nobody else has even seen that letter.
I agree with that.
All right, and then
My favorite phrase is in detail in writing. Exactly what does the policy cover? And the current letter is silent on monthly service charges.
and I had did I understand, Mr. Rem, that you had moved the washing machine outside of the ADU?
Outside of the ADU,
What did you did you accomplish by doing that? What did you think you were able to do?
the container is small, so.
But it's still part of the plumbing system, yes? So that wasn't, you weren't saying that was fewer fixture units because it was outside.
Instead of two alone, there's gonna be one.
I see. Okay. Right.
Let's change the fixture units to ADU.
I know that you have made decision about ADU. It's a long time you recently. If you accept that house was built out, it means that house and ADU acceptable. Consider not.
All right. Else have any questions? And before we go, the notion, before I go to any, the notion of tabling it, while that makes a lot of sense from a procedural and administrative perspective, we table it. We don't know how long we're tabling it for. We're at the mercy of HCD and how accurate they are in responding back to us. During that period of time, Mr. Rem can't proceed. So I'm just saying it from a perspective of
Give him a whatever it is to
There's
proceed.
already,
if he pays the fees, we could give it to him, and then if something turns out, then he has to, either pay it back or waive it. The issue is tabling is it a procedural and legislative action, has implications in the real world to folks who are holding on
I
things.
see what you're saying. Around that.
Well, yeah.
the capacity
Like I said,
unit,
with understanding that things may change, but he's not interested in that. So that he may be impeding himself from that response. But I don't want to table something
No,
and
I
be
know
the
what
cause
you're
of that.
I know what you're saying. Here's
Okay,
what I'm
because
gonna
right now, right here, we have an ordinance. Everybody knows how to apply it. Everybody knows how it's applied. We have some of the factual questions that Mr. Rem has presented about perhaps that makes his situation unique. But we don't have any, if you want to call it a question mark from that letter, I've been doing this long enough and seeing enough HCD letters that half the time, let's put it this way, the first initial criticisms by both CASA and our former general counsel was the imprecise nature of the previous iterations of the ADU ordinance as promulgated by the state legislature. And we all got to look at them, and yeah, it could have been a little more accurate, and the legislative intent could have been a little bit more clear. At this point, my perspective, and I can't say I ever would have thought of be hearing myself saying this when I was on the other side of it and questioning things in about 2016. However, at this point, we have an ordinance in the district, have state laws also promulgated, and we're following them until those are modified, overturned, litigated, or some other thing, some other process where it gets looked at and dissected. My perspective, and I have to say, he said it, Scott said it, Dennis said it, that Scott has executed this process based on our existing ordinance 82. And that's his job, and he's executed. So we need to determine whether Mr. Rem's situation is unusual enough. But if you have in the back of your head that that the state's going to change this on us, I don't think we can postpone the decision, because either way, the decision is then left to Mr. Rem whether he wants to proceed or not.
Okay, so when somebody writes us a check or signs the agreement for the payment schedule, that's their part of it. We then do what so that they can proceed with their work?
When they render payment, then they are eligible for a permit and a will serve letter.
And so on payment or agreement, we issue them a will serve letter. What was the other thing you said?
Permit.
Permit. Is there any reason we couldn't do that? In the absence of that payment or agreement?
Would be. There is nothing barring us from doing that. However, recovering said payment at a later date is a challenge. Especially if someone is appealing the as a whole.
I can see that. I'm just.
You've got other court ordinances already that say that shall occur, this shall occur, and we be in contravention of your ordinances.
So
We
the
proceeded
question I
with that.
have is if I don't understand. The simplest option is 5 years, no interest. And so if our ordinance is going to change, it would seem prudent for the ADU builder to accept that as the option. Therefore, they would pay us a minimal amount of money up front, knowing that our ordinance may change in its entirety in some period of time. And so on that basis, I was just trying to find a way that we could issue them a will serve and a permit absent those agreements. And the answer is it could make payment later difficult.
I'd also like to remind you that you were interested in everyone being treated fairly. That would be an exception to the aforementioned ordinance.
No, but we've gotten guidance that we've been treating everybody unequally and unfairly for some
Just
time.
guidance at this point.
And I agree with your point that we need
Just
to go
guidance.
to them and say, what's up? You guys have sent this to us and nobody else?
But that may take a while. In the
I agree
interim,
with
we got to keep going. We got 2 of these on our plate tonight, and we may have more in the future. We got to
Well,
maintain, as you said, treating everyone consistently and fairly.
And we gotta
That's
keep
that's
operating.
why I asked at the last meeting.
That, darn it, that's what we're here for.
That's why I asked at the last meeting, is there a way to honor that letter by policy, or do we have to revise the whole ordinance? There was lots of discussion about that. And we didn't come to any conclusions or recommendations as to how we would
Because it's
proceed.
premature.
But I think we should decide if we're just going to keep on as is, following the ordinance. We're going to establish a new policy that says point forward, we're not charging these things because of that letter, or whatever we decide to do. I understand your position completely. I don't disagree with it, but I also think, unlike you, that this HCD letter is going to be binding. It may be a while. Right now, we're looking at $1 million liability, and I don't want to keep increasing that if we don't need to.
Mr. M, you had a question?
Yes, if I understand your position, you have to be respectful to the work of Scott and to accept his work.
No, that wasn't what I said. What I said was, is we have an existing ordinance, Ordinance 82, that says we have to charge you for those fees. Scott has simply reviewed your appeal under that ordinance, and under that ordinance, he has determined that you have to pay. So the question at this point, and there's three parts of that ordinance that are being enforced. One is and this goes on your tax bill, is the use. In other words, you're using the sewer system, you're putting waste into the system, and it's being processed by the system at the treatment plant. Okay, collected and treated. That's the monthly. We call it monthly, but you don't get billed monthly. You get billed twice a year on your tax. About how much is it? $82?
$82.
$82. It equates to $82 a month for each of the units. And it's that way for anybody, regardless of whether they're paying for connection fees or they're paying capacity fees. Okay? The question, that's pretty immutable, at least from my thinking, my understanding, that the monthly use, you're going to have to pay either way, and for both units when they come online. For two is the capacity, and number three is the administrative, the permitting, the plan check, the inspection. The administrative fees, also to my way of looking at it, are also immutable, because that's what it takes the district's staff to process.
Of course.
So it's not a lot, but it adds up, but everyone gets charged that. That doesn't get waived either. So really, we're just talking about the capacity charge. And until we know more about whether we can agree to any or approve any reduction in your capacity charge, and once again, we don't know what state law, how state law may change, but it is not, as of this point in time, it has not changed sufficiently that we would change our ordinance that says you can reduce your capacity charge. That, I stated everything fairly accurately? Okay.
Other than the state law hasn't changed. It's what the state bureaucracy is interpreting the law.
Yeah, and that's what we're talking about, a letter from HCD versus the state legislature. The state law hasn't changed. We had an opinion that is different than state law from one person. I don't want to follow that. Not going to follow that. I wouldn't follow that if under any circumstance.
My question is very simple. The capacity I have to pay for torch and the fuel.
And that's an accurate statement as far as 13 fixture units?
It's not.
No, so it was 11 fixture units for the ADU, and then whatever, and it's up to 25 for the primary residence.
And that's a primary resident gets fixture units, but it's typically, it's a number that almost any primary residence complies with or falls below. Okay? And it sounds like your 320 feet was that, is going to beat that very easily. But each of the, even though they're on one parcel, primary residence is rated separately than the ADU.
That you said this is unusual situation. It's like unusual situation in the process. So.
Well, okay, but like I said, you know, if we table this, which I'm not in favor of, until we get more clarification from the government, state government, maybe months, you couldn't go forward because you need the will serve letter in order to go to the county to get your building permit. Yes. Okay, so I come from, just bear in mind, I come from a background in construction, and you get something started as soon as you can, because you never know. Sometimes it gets easier. The the longer you wait, the harder it gets. So the reality of the situation.
Sorry, I don't want you to.
Okay, at this point, you have a choice about whether you want to proceed now or you want to everything in on hold.
No, it's not on hold. No, not this.
Well, then just wait a minute. Go ahead, Steve.
We're not talking about the primary residence here.
Correct. We are not talking about the primary
It
residence.
already has a paid capacity charge, paying monthly service on it right now. And you should be able to start putting in that primary residence anytime. The county must feel it's okay to go ahead and do that. Replace the old primary residence, I guess.
OVSD takes no exception to anything
So you can
wise with the primary residence.
issue him a serve letter, or he doesn't need one.
Doesn't need one.
Doesn't need one.
It's already,
Okay, so only for the ADU, which is
so it's just the
addition to the
ADU,
property.
and it's really just capacity unit, the ADU that's in question.
Yes.
But capacity for the ADU, I have to pay for 4.
I think the confusion is that there are 4 fixtures, but the point value is, I believe, 11, if I remember correctly.
Yes, it was 11.
And what, once again, what's the dollar amount that we're talking about?
$7,050.48.
How does his moving that washing machine into the main residence affect that?
Not,
Doesn't affect the
It
picture.
doesn't unless there was a washing machine in each.
There was.
And now he's gotten rid of one of the washing
That's
machines.
what he just said he did. So the fixture units in the ADU have changed.
however, if the plans reflect that he has it, each unit, he'll be charged in accordance with the plan. And then if he wants us to recount post-construction, we are happy to do that. And if he's made any modifications downward, we're happy to do that. But otherwise, he'll be charged per plan because that's what he'll be allowed to put in.
Even though his intent is to do that, it's not shown on any plan.
We don't, we don't have it. We have the plans that show the washing machine.
Any other questions?
We are offering him the same choices, right? 0%, 5 years.
Yes.
Okay, so he gets to make that choice.
Any other deliberations, questions?
But the county shouldn't be holding anything up at the moment.
That we can't speak to. The project scope as a whole, the plans he submitted are for the rebuild of the house plus the ADU. And so whether they will allow him to proceed with part of the project scope is not, we're not a land use agency. We can't say.
Say what? Say again? We are.
Well, I'll throw in my 2 cents on this.
Can we state what time we close the public hearing specifically though?
I thought
You say?
I did.
We didn't hear the hammer.
No. Okay, in that case, I'm going to close the public hearing at 8:09. Now we're going to do the deliberations.
Throw in my 2 cents very briefly. We did get a letter from HCD. Your letter raises more questions than it answers. I really don't believe that they are correct. Although I need to see the explanation of how they can, whatever they want. So I'm not ready to overturn or to right now. I agree with Dennis, we should just keep applying it, so I support Scott's decision.
Okay, then having said that, any other deliberations? Or is someone
I would-
prepared provide a motion?
I would agree with Director Kentosh on the issue of Scott doing the right thing for the ordinance. However, I think rules as written, very clear that we can't charge this. So that's a fundamental disagreement between Jim and I imagine several others. So that's why I have great confidence that HCD letter is ultimately going to be law of the land. But I also agree with you, Bill, that could be months. So, and I think in the meantime, all we can do is go with our ordinance and knowing full well that we're perhaps incurring a liability of some sort.
Additional refund liability.
As long as we're happy with that, then that's good. And we have given everybody a zero interest 5-year plan. So that's as best we can do under the ordinance as it exists.
Yes, it is.
What are our options here?
Do I have a motion on any one of the options as presented?
I got one motion. Option one.
Seconded.
Jack, we're doing a roll call for the motion for option number 1. Jack, can you unmute? Jack, Director Reed made a motion and Director Quillisi seconded the motion for option 1. I'm doing a roll call vote. Go back around. Director Martinson.
Show me again where on this list of.
Option 1 is to affirm the general manager's July 16, 2026 ruling that the permit, inspection fee, plan check fees, and capacity charges and sewer service fees presented in the June 15, 2026 OVSD sewer availability letter are appropriate for the proposed ADU and justified based on applicable law and facts. And those would be the amounts outlined on page 65.
As long as he's aware that he has those 3 choices of how to pay that.
Yes, that payment arrangements are separate.
Good, then I'm in favor, yes.
Director Kintosh? Director Burke?
Yes.
Director Quillisi?
Yes.
Director Reed?
Yes.
Chair Ulrich?
Yes.
And then Jack,
No.
Okay. Righty then. In that case, then, that is, the district will issue a notice of decision within a time period outlined in section 917 and will inform you as property owner and applicant of their rights under section 91716. And if you have any questions, obviously direct them to Scott. Okay. Thank you for your appeal and your help in clarifying this issue.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. All right, moving on to item 10, contract number 2026-15, agreement for professional services to perform investment advisory services, optimized investment partners.
Yes, so this is a contract for OIP. You had an opportunity to interview OIP last month. You directed me and Allison to work with OIP. We came up with a contract. The contract has been vetted by Dennis. This is for your considerations. Included with the recommendation to assign the contract is also a direction given to me to give notice to PFM Investment Asset Management, the current district, the district's current advisor, to terminate their relationship with them and work with them and OIP to transfer the information necessary over to OIP.
Okay. It's
I was part of that committee that made the recommendation. So I'd like to move for approval of 10A and B.
Director Curtis,
Oh, the,
Director Curtis, I'm doing roll call vote for item number 10. Director Martinson,
Yes.
Director Kentosh, Mr. Bird,
well, goes to mute like it did.
Director Policy, Director Reed,
Yes.
Chair Ulrich,
Yes.
and then Jack, I'm doing roll
Yeah.
for item number 10.
Changing investment advisor.
So yes,
Okay.
Item 11, resolution number 2026-12, nomination for regular and alternate LAFCO Independent Special District Member.
okay, perfect. So LAFCO, the LAFCO Advisory Committee is looking for a regular and an alternate member from the special districts, are members of the LAFCO, Ventura County LAFCO region. Nominations are completely optional. So the board has the discretion to nominate somebody specifically for each one of these. The nominations will be sent by resolution, which is attached here. So I put this before the board to consider nominating somebody from our board for the regular and alternate member of LAFCO. The LAFCO has presented a letter to the board which outlines the responsibilities for which you'd be considering and the requirements, which you will have to submit a candidate statement and or resume as well.
This is nominated, be on the ballot, be voted on by all the districts.
That's correct.
This is not a nomination. Well, it's a nomination for the position, so like going on the county ballot for seats.
Anybody want it?
There it is.
Okay, no nominations. Got it.
Yeah. There it is.
Who's not to?
Okay. Item 12, adopt budget adjustment number 2027-02, carryover of incomplete contracts and purchases from fiscal year 2025-26 budget.
So this is the first of our two sort of budget housekeeping, if you will. Each year we review the contracts in which we have amounts remaining, which we plan to expend in the following fiscal year. So before you are all the listed contracts in which we are still working on that have remaining funds that we would like to carry over and continue our contractual relationship with these particular contractors through next fiscal year to complete the scope of each one of these construction contracts and or consulting contracts. So before you is recommending the $260,657 of unexpended contract funds to be rolled over to the 26-27 fiscal year.
Yes.
This is somewhat of a housekeeping item, so I'd like to move for approval of item.
I'd like to amend it. I think
13 second.
me?
Include 13.
No.
Running.
Is this the one with the math error on the,
Yeah, I think the actual number should be 269,000. Change, whatever it is.
we will make sure that we,
69,657 instead of 260.
I'll amend my motion. A new figure.
okay, we will do that and we will make sure that the budget adjustment reflects the correct amount.
Okay. Can we have, was your second then?
I had Director Martinson as a second. Did you wait? You were a second on this.
Second,
Yes.
even the new one.
Yes. And then I notated the amendment.
Right. I guess then a roll call. Please.
Gonna get into crazy.
Director Martinson, Director Kintosh, Mr. Berg,
Yes.
Director Quillisi.
Yes.
Director Reed,
Yes.
Chair Ulrich.
Yes.
He gets into
Jack on mute.
Is he muting
Yeah,
himself?
let him do his own unmuting.
I'm not gonna do it.
Yeah, can you unmute?
All right, then we have, item 13, prior fiscal year budget income and expense reconciliation, budget adjustment number 2027-03.
So we are closing out our 25-26 fiscal year. So we have reconciled all of our income and expenses, and this is sort of where we have landed. We have a budget surplus of $445,070. I've listed some of the excess revenue, sewer service charges, late charges and penalties, miscellaneous income. Those are all contributing factors. We also have savings in each one of the department budgets. The highest budget surplus was in the collection system. And we think that is attributed to the aggressive amount of collection system projects. Specifically, maintenance projects has reduced the line maintenance operational line item quite a bit. And so that consequently had quite a savings in the collection system department budget for 25-26. And that may be the case again this year with all of the collection system projects we have projected. So we'll have to see how that lands.
Okay.
The recommendation is to move those funds to the collection system replacement reserve, which will allow the slated collection system projects to hopefully commence earlier, so that we are not waiting for some of those county funds to be deposited. That will be beneficial for this year and to get a jump start on some of the collection system projects we have slated.
Questions for discussion?
I'm trying to understand pages 255 and 256. Under income lists three things, and those total to 148,279. And then on page 256 is the overall reconciled income is 113.
There were
So there's about 35,000 there. I didn't understand what was going on.
There's a couple of income items that actually had deficits. So our interest was over projected. And so that is actually a deficit. So there are some subtracting factors that aren't listed on here.
Okay. Anyone else? Questions? Discussion? Motion?
I'll move to approve item 13 then.
Second. Does this help you, Liz?
Director
Answer.
Martinson,
Yes.
Director Kentosh,
Yes.
Director Berg,
Yes.
Director Closey,
Yes.
Director Reed, Chair Ulrich.
Yes.
Jack, do you want to try to unmute?
I'll try it.
Try it one time.
One time. I know. Oh, maybe so.
Let me do it.
Do you hear me now?
Yes, I can
Yes.
hear you. I'm doing a roll call vote for item 13.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you.
Us?
We can hear you, Jack.
I'm gonna pull this in for technical.
Okay. I'm having trouble with this unmute button.
Yeah. You're unmuted now, so leave it alone.
Yeah, I've got it, it's on the mute. You can hear me.
Yep. You can.
I'm gonna leave it alone now.
Perfect.
Right. Item number 14, ultraviolet disinfection, UV system replacement, lamps and sleeves, budget adjustment 2027-05.
Yes, for your consideration is the purchase of new sleeves and lamps. They have a limited lifetime of around 16,000 operational hours. That lifetime is going to end around mid-November, early December. And I'd like to get a hop on it. They're they've run behind in years. And so there's, I think kind of time is of the essence to make sure we have them so we can put them in as they time out. One comment that I did receive from one of the directors about this, Ironbrook is from Canada, and the question is does the price include tariffs? I spoke with Ironbrook this morning. The lamps and sleeves are manufactured in Connecticut and drop shipped here to us in California, so they are not affected by the tariffs. So the answer is no, they're not affected by the tariffs.
Question.
61,000 is not something we can sign off.
I would move for approval.
I think it's just over.
Yeah, I think it's just over. I think it's 50 is.
Yeah, I think 50 is for me. I'd have to go back and look at it. I think it's
I
over.
thought we raised all your limits. I thought your limit was
I
75.
will check.
But
We traditionally present this item to the board. We purchase it so often.
The only way we,
seeing it.
the only way we know how often these things are being paid.
Okay. Jack has moved for approval.
Yes, is there a second?
Yes. Second.
Director Curtis,
Yes.
Director Martinson.
Yes.
Director Kintosh. Director Bird.
Yes.
Director Quillisi.
Yes.
Director Reed. Chair Ulrich.
Yes. Item 15, authorize a new revolving line of credit for up to $300,000 for the 100% grant reimbursement for the 60% engineering design of the North Rice Road septic to sewer conversion project.
Well, I need to ask Dennis a quick question. Sure. About this. Dennis, this is Jim Kentosh. I'm on the board of Miners Oaks Water District. We have a well, number 8, smack dab in the middle of this North Rice Road project. And I wondered if I have to recuse myself.
I think that's probably a good idea, Jim. If there's any question at all, I would recuse yourself.
You're going to be better off. This stuff goes into a sewer. It all goes into septic and goes into your groundwater.
Well, it's going into our groundwater. We have high nitrates and can't use them well. So I'm in favor of the project, but I shouldn't be voting on it one way or another.
No, I think that's, yeah.
That's fine.
Yeah.
I'm back, guys. Enjoy your conversation.
Okay,
Make sure.
right, is there any
It is.
questions or comments?
The door's open.
Need to just record the recusal. Yeah.
Okay. Any questions, comments, motions?
Seemed to me this was gonna cost about $10,000 to set up the line of credit. You're not going to use any of the money initially, even though the design services contract is 500,000. Do we anticipate into that line of credit the first month or two?
It's going to be a function of how quickly the state reimburses us. So I'm a firm believer in paying the contractors that work for the district promptly. Right, that's why we get great service from great contractors. Along the same lines as we will do our best to turn around invoices and get them over to the state for their consideration. But if the state does lag, I don't want to hold up the payment to the contractors. And so that's the intent of this is it's just a bridge loan to be intended to be used for, 15 to 25 days, whatever the length of time is it takes for the state. And I don't know what it's going to be just yet. This
You don't have any history on this septic to sewer conversion.
correct. But Liz and I have been working with the state. We can affirm that the person, our contact at the state is prompt. He's reachable. I think he's going to do his best job. I just don't know what people in his organization can do or will do. But my hope is that we don't have to use it, but I also think that we should have the ability to use it because it helps payments to the contractors.
Is it going to cost that much to set it up? I mean.
No, I don't think it was.
Doesn't cost anything to set up.
It was anything.
No, I thought, I don't remember being anything. I think it's gonna.
We're seeing $10,000 in a report Maybe that was the anticipated interest.
I think that's a total anticipated interest over the course of the project.
Sorry for the
It
misunderstanding.
facilitates things and it gets them going. Cost of doing business. So, any other questions, discussion, motions?
Motion to approve item 15.
Second.
Ellen?
Director Curtis,
Yes.
Director Martinson,
Yes.
and then Director Byrd,
Yes.
Director Quillisi,
Yes,
Director Reed, Chair Ulrich.
Yes.
And then we have noted that Director Kintosh has recused himself from the vote.
should he be, Dennis, should he be recused on item 16 as well?
Yeah, it's the same issue, so yeah, he should.
Okay, item 6.
Anytime North Rice Road comes up,
Okay, item 16, contract number 2026-07, design services, and contract number 2026-09, public outreach and right-of-way services, 60% engineering design of septic to sewer conversion for North Rice Road. Okay,
If you would please the board, I'd like to have Liz present.
So following that line of credit that was just approved, this is the design contract and the public outreach and right-of-way contract.
still recused.
We solicited proposals for the design.
Engineering design for the project.
Sorry.
I think you can hear it. You just,
old school.
Yeah, we solicited proposals from 3 consultants. We received 2, staff reviewed them, and it had a unanimous decision to select BKF. We entered fee negotiations with BKF, came to an agreed fee amount. We selected BKF as the most qualified. That was unanimous among reviewers. And so what is before you is the 2 contracts. They will be fully funded, less interest by the state grant under the agreement that we have already executed with the state. This is a very similar language to the contract we have for the Trustee Lane area. Same revolving line of credit, as the Trustee Lane.
We've already approved both steps for Trustee Lane.
Yes, we have started design.
Okay. Questions, discussion?
Move to approve 16.
I'll second that.
All right.
Director Curtis,
Yes.
Director Martinson,
Yes.
Director Byrd,
Yes.
see,
Yes.
Director Reed,
Yes.
Chair Ulrich, and then we have Director Kintosh abstaining.
Item 17. State of California Septic to Sewer Program, notice of exemption for the 30% design of the septic to sewer projects in West Casita Springs, Central Casita Springs, East Casita Springs. I didn't realize that Casita Springs was so wrong.
There's a method to the madness.
Sure there is.
If you please the board, I'd like Liz to present on this one also.
So this began around in 2023 with the water board approaching OVSD with some SDAC communities, which is really disadvantaged communities. And it was originally the 3 Trustee Lane and North Rice Road, which we've now entered design with, and then Casita Springs. We submitted those applications in August of 2024 after going back and forth with the state on a number of things. We worked with the state to move forward Trustee Lane and North Rice Road first. At that time, Casita Springs from 1 to 3 projects. And now our same project manager is administering these Casita Springs projects as well, pushing them forward on the state side so that we'll have 30% design agreements in the future for these locations. Timing not totally certain, possibly in the near future if they're funding. Part of the application has changed. We now have to submit a notice of exemption for the 30% design. the state clearinghouse for these design projects. I think it's pretty straightforward, and other districts have done it under section 15306 information collection. A 30% design is highly conceptual, minimal ground disturbance, typically just some soils testing and definitely some geotech, which qualifies under this. And so we're asking the board that direct staff to submit the notice of exemption for these 3 theoretical design projects with the state clearinghouse.
How long is that 30%? An ask on the part of the state.
As opposed to a greater percentage?
Yeah, I mean, typically speaking, question, actually, and I realize because it's done sequentially this way as the project is developed, that they can get a sense of whether there should be an exemption or not. But back in the day when it was first implemented, it was whether the 100% of the project as completed is going to have any CEQA impacts. Otherwise, it would be exempt, or unless there was statutorily exempt. So when did they start asking for 30 and 60?
I guess right now, I mean,
I think this is the first time.
It's a new requirement,
requirement.
Who as of when?
sometime between a year ago and today. When we completed.
When you're next interfacing with your significant other with the state, please ask that question that from a board of directors member, because I'm a big promulgator, belief in the notion of where does it say that? Because lots of folks make their own policy and then, they work for a public agency and it turns out there wasn't any action on the part of a board of directors or a state agency that's responsible for having those sort of jurisdictional influences. I'm just curious because this is another exercise, another step for all of us, all of you. Money attached to this thing, which oftentimes is the last thing that anyone in public agency thinks of because A, it's not their money, and B, if they're talking about jurisdiction over another public agency, it's not even their agency's money. So anyway, just curious. Do we have any discussion questions or motions?
I'm used to seeing something that says a notice of exemption when there's at least part of the design already done. Otherwise, how do you decide if there's an exemption?
We had the same internal conversation.
No, it's, I mean, especially at 30%.
I went through CEQA exemptions for years on the Ohio Planning Commission. And it was you did a concept review, then you did a design review permit as a part of that.
You had something that could be exempted or not.
Right, you had something that you could say, there's these different sections of the CEQA law that provide for the exemption, but you don't know anything yet. But they're requiring this notice now in advance of any engineering.
It's part of the application for the.
You know what it is? No, because you're asked. It's gotten to that. Oh, you want something?
Give me some paper to play with.
I think, I'm sure there's lots and lots of people in development, so on and so forth. And there's an entire environmental bar, but the issue is, I think CEQA is getting to it's
the tail wagging the dog.
yeah, it is, unfortunately.
I'll move approval of 17 then.
Second? Very good. Right? Good, Allison?
Director Curtis,
Yeah,
Martinson.
Yes.
Director Kintosh. Director Bird.
Yes.
Pelosi,
Yes.
Reed,
Yes.
Chair Ulrich.
Item 18, contract number 2026-04, engineering services for design alternatives analysis for the Miners Oaks Trunk Sewer Relocation Project, budget adjustment number 2027-04.
Scheduled disaster.
Well, no, we're trying to avoid that disaster. Okay, our next incipient.
Yes.
Okay,
Please aboard, I'd like to have Liz Hunter come off.
Just one. Thank you. This, alternatives analysis was budgeted for in this fiscal year's budget. So we're properly bringing this to the board for, review and approval to do a alternatives analysis for how to correct the issue at hand, which is the eroding and breaking of the Ventura River near our, asbestos former trunk line. It's now greatly oversized because of the construction of the Miners Oak siphon, which is that blue line. Was constructed about 20 years ago. And so now instead of carrying all of Miners Oak's flow, it only carries flow from basically Rancho Matilaha and the neighboring area, which is the equivalent of about 160 dwelling units. So it can be reduced in size. We're looking to see if it can be located into Burnham Road, and/or whatever the civil engineer comes up with. So this is really a preliminary design. What can we do and what's the rough order of magnitude cost?
any other dwelling units might be picked up by it?
Los Encinas is probably around, and Burnham, probably around 100.
Yeah.
And so,
75 to 100.
could have some ADUs,
Additional 100 more or plus
100 plus, yeah.
counts.
New custom, new
Yes.
custom.
We are asking that that be considered in the design.
What, and how does that go? Same sort of situation, you have to ask everybody if they want to connect in, or they're going to be obligated now.
This is not an SDAC community. This is not a grant funding. This would be,
They get asked.
they would have to ask, yeah.
They could decline and
Stay
so on
on
and so
septic.
forth. Well, then I would expect the water board to get on them.
And our main goal for this is to protect or relocate.
Yeah, I would, only comment that I would have would be, this is, once again, this is Phoenix.
Yeah, so we requested proposals from 4 consultants, and staff unanimously selected Phoenix Civil Engineering as the most qualified based on prior experience.
Well, I would not have them bust their pick on trying to figure out how to armor that existing location. I think everybody, what I've heard from previous conversations is get it as close to Burnham Road as possible and as far from the river as possible.
How do you put a price on asking the Army Corps of Engineers if we could throw
I
some,
just wouldn't
throw some rocks
really
in the
put
river?
any effort into that, making that part of the analysis unless there's some contravening factors that we're not aware of. You know what I'm just saying?
That was, yeah, so
Not in the interest of being comprehensive, because sometimes when engineering firms get assigned these sort of analyses, they give a broad options, and I don't think we want broad options. I think we want narrow options.
during the fee negotiation, so their proposal was slightly amended. That's why there's a second date there, because we reiterated exactly what you're saying, which is we don't want to waste money
Yeah.
on something that
We don't need to,
is
yeah.
likely financially not.
This isn't an exercise. This is something we need to
Otherwise,
have
fix it in the
one or
river.
two options, and so that we can get on it. Way. But in any case, there's the option, there's the potentiality for gaining 100 plus accounts. Okay, good. Any questions? Comments? Discussion?
As I understand it, some of the people along Burnham are on septic, is that right?
Many are.
So when we build this new line, it's gonna be close to some of the houses that are on septic.
Right by their, if it goes where we anticipate it will be constructed, it would be in.
So if they want to tie in, do we charge them the 16,000? I mean, you're gonna say yes.
Well,
Those are good.
yeah, it's a possibility. It's going to depend on whether or not they have to build a local line or not. Right, so there are some situations, if someone were to construct their own local line, we would then not charge them for their local capacity charge. They would still be charged for the trunk capacity charge, and they'd be charged for the treatment plant capacity charge, but not necessarily the local.
We're not talking about 100 houses along Burnham Road. There are side roads.
I understand.
Community.
Well, I know somebody over there that's on septic. Seriously, he's gonna sign up.
Oh, yeah. We
Yeah.
only have to if the land use agency required. Storage.
They can't require you to spend money on them. Anyway, okay.
Okay. Well, I have a motion.
I'll move. Contract with result. Take it. Smith. And
Okay,
I'll second that.
very good.
Director Curtis,
Yeah,
Director Martinson,
Yes.
Tosh,
yes.
Director Berg,
Yes.
Director Quillisi,
Yes.
Director Reed,
Yes.
Chair Ulrich.
Yes. Okay,
Now the controversial one.
yes, the most controversial item on this agenda. Item 9. Years of service and numerous contributions to the Ojai Valley Sanitary District. So, it has A and B, which is not nearly enough to reflect the effort, the steadfastness, we can say loyalty and commitment that has shown agency. I'm sure he liked his job too, but I already privately expressed my appreciation. So is anyone like to engage in discussion or asking? I have a question. You got a question? Okay.
When did Dan switch from election to?
I think it was in 2003.
I can't remember. How did he get into computers? Good job. That was new.
Have also expressed things privately, including at the party the other day in the hangar. Good time was had by all. And there's big shoes to fill. Doing a good job. Hard to replace 30+ years of experience.
Maybe a scenario where we won't be missing him so much where he might be sitting here among us, but we're gonna see about that. So, all right, does anyone have any other comments or do I have a motion or two?
I'll move for approval of resolution 2026-11, 19A and B.
Okay,
Second.
okay. Allison?
Director Curtis,
yeah,
Director Martinson, Director Kintosh,
Yes.
Director Berg,
Yes.
Director Quillisi,
Yes.
Director Reed,
Yes.
Chair Ulrich.
Yes. Thank you. I'm going to consider moving item 20 to after item number 26. So since item 20 is a closed session item, so let's proceed to item 21, the financial reports. Do you have anything to report?
Just what's in there.
Okay.
Pretty early still, nothing remarkable.
Investment report, same. Staff reports. Committee reports. Reports on meetings, seminars, or conferences attended. Yes.
I attended the first week of August, the semi-annual CASA conference up in Napa.
Where in Napa?
At a hotel called the Meritage.
Yes, okay.
Nice place.
Yeah.
But in the course of the conference, one of the speakers, keynote speaker the last day, I guess it was Mr. Esquivel, who's head of the State Water Board. I asked him specifically about this septic to sewer conversion program they have going. I said, I live right next to part of the city of Ojai. It is virtually 100% on septic. I said, it's filled with aging, longtime residents who are land rich and cash poor. I have Scott and his predecessor, Jeff Palmer, both talked to the realtors about it. Say, you want to get on septic, you're going to need to form community facility district, issue bonds or assess yourselves, whatever, to put the sewer in. Then the district would be happy to do it. We can't do it on our money, to do it on your money. I said, these people, the answer then is you need to sell your property away, and then you'll have the cash that you need to put in sewer facilities, the place you don't live anymore. I said, that doesn't make sense. As I recall from, Jeff was still here, Arbolada, the west side of Ojai, and it's about half in the city, half in the county, is more or less all under this condition, where the people that live there are they're property rich and cash poor. In fact, the portion that is in the city, which is about half the Arbolada, I know from statistics I've read, at least, that it is, the city, you know, has 4 city council districts plus the mayor at large. That district has the lowest average income per resident and the highest net worth per resident, all the districts in the city, which just reinforces the idea these people are all land rich and cash poor. Well, I said, what's the answer here? It's a public health issue. And that district, that area, was initially designated preliminarily as an SDAC, severely disadvantaged community. And then that designation was withdrawn. I suspect it was withdrawn because of the net worth factor. Because the average income is still lower than anywhere else in the city. I said to Mr. Esquivel, what can you do? You remove the criteria net worth? Or is there some other way we can solve this public health issue? And he'd think about it, get back to me. But I had compliments from several other attendees at the conference just for asking the question. Because Arbolada can't be the only place in this state where there are, you know, fair numbers of people that are land rich and cash poor and can't afford to put sewers in.
Yeah, well, the problem is over the years, and I'm going to say over the last 60 years, but the Arbolada there's been initiatives to get them on sewer system. the city of Ojai first and then
Yes,
at least,
60 years ago with the city.
right, and then at least once or twice with the sanitary district. At least, outreach kind of situation. And each time they have passed on it because most people have said they didn't want to spend the money, they didn't see the impetus, whatever the situation is. And the impetus towards inaction is quite high. And I would agree with what you say because of the statistics, but also as I travel through the Arbolada, and I do that on a regular basis, I do that daily. I'm always impressed by exactly how much construction's going on in there. And the construction doesn't just go on for a little bit. The construction's going on for months, which tells me somebody's got some money that they're spending, and then they develop what I would characterize as an estate. It's it's a 1+ acre property with several of
It's
these.
all 1+ acre
Right,
property.
several of these properties that I'm referring to have recently put in, I don't know whether they're guest houses or ADUs, but they're not shabby little places. They're maxed out to the based on the size of the main residence. So you're always going to get folks that are going to say, I don't want to spend the money, I can't afford it, blah, blah, blah. But I don't know about whether the direction of going to try to get qualifications based on the fact that they may be land rich, they may be living on their investments and Social Security, and as a consequence, their annual income falls within a
Right.
sort of a range that would benefit. But I really can't see, once anybody looks at those properties, takes even just a casual tour through them, they're going to say, oh yeah, we should get them on a state program.
They were initially on the state program.
Yes,
and then
yes,
withdrawn.
yes, yeah. And they've, like I said, once again, they've had three, and it would take a concerted effort of the community there to do this. And I don't know that they get along that well either. So,
But
okay.
it's a continuing problem. I have a friend who has been in the construction business and has been approached by at least one resident of the Arbolada, say, please do some groundbreaking, make a ditch from where my septic always overflows downhill my neighbor's property.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh. And I'm sure, and they just jumped at that opportunity. Okay, right? Member or general manager comment?
Yeah, real quick, I have some GM comments. Looking ahead, we have Ojai Day, Saturday, October 17th. OVSD will have a booth there. City paving project is going to get kicking off here. They started milling this week. They're going to be paving the next 2 weeks. OVSD will have 45 manholes replaced in the city repaving project. Duke's Root Control, they're scheduled to start 9 September 8th, and they're going to run through September 11th. So that's going to be the Tuesday through Friday after Labor Day. County is reached out to us. They're talking about renovating and remodeling Foster Park before the year end. Yeah, we kind of chuckled over that too. I don't know if seems untimely to me.
It's been closed for quite a while, so.
It's getting the pressure
Park
from
on
because of
33.
because of the publication of photos of all the people that parked there on.
So what's coming to us is we'll be working with the county to make sure that we have access to our trunk line that runs through there. And then finally, I want to let the board know that OVSD is preparing for the winter. Line cleaning of the locals lines is done. Generators services are being scheduled for November, so we always do an annual service. We do that in November this year, and we're going to get some new impellers for Big Santa Ana lift station down there. So it's paramount given El Nino and weather forecasts. We're doing our best to stay in front of it.
What's going on with the election? Are we contested seats?
I don't think so.
It's running uncontested.
I think we have people who pulled but never filed. Sorry.
Oh, Jack's gonna run again?
Yes.
All right, in that case, then I'm going to call to close the public board meeting at 8:59. We're going to go into closed session for, you want to get some minutes?
Yeah. Board will now go into closed session for purposes of a public employee performance evaluation. That's for the general manager. We will reconvene afterwards in open session and report on any reportable action that was taken.
Meeting we've ever had.
Reporting in open, Dennis.
Okay, are we back in open session?
Yes.
Okay, nothing to report from the closed session.
Yep, very good. All right, we're back in open session at 10:23. We're closed.
Do we have an
Open session
Adjourned.
adjourned.
Am I in the parking lot?
All right. Good night, everyone.
Headlights on. I think.
Thank you for hanging in this long.